Hi, let's start. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Abdulaziz Khan, and I work in the DevOps section of a Fortune 500 company. And my exact job is basically to manage the infrastructure on AWS and on premises. So we have different teams, which all of them they comprise the DevOps section of our company. The reason to make this video is that I feel while interacting with some of my friends and acquaintances that there is a need for people to know that how can one become a DevOps engineer. Um, a lot of people they have some kind of intrigue. I mean, they just need to know that how they can start the process, how they can start the journey, and what may be the steps. And I also feel that before you dive into the pool, I mean, before that, you need to assess the depth of the pool because once you are inside, then it takes some cost as well. So the reason to make this video was to help students or the people who have a kind of limited budget, so that before coming to the DevOps, before investing some real money on certifications and other things, they should have some idea that how generally this journey, how it happens, and what kind of steps they, if they take, then it should be good for them. So this is a kind of, you can say that a kind of awareness that if you want to really to go in the DevOps side, then you have to be a kind of prepared beforehand. So I hope that after the end of these videos, you will have a clear path in uh, two things. That first, that you will know that whether you should really go in DevOps or not. And the other is that if you really have to go, then before you spend a big amount of money, you should be at least prepared in such a way that you should know that where should you spend the money and where you should not spend this money. So I will try to break this in three major chunks. Uh, the first chunk will talk about the soft qualities which are required from a DevOps engineer. And here we will try to talk about the mindset behind a DevOps engineer. And in the second part, we will discuss that what kind of technical knowledge is required for a DevOps engineer. Uh, I will try to explain in the coming part, but just to give you an idea, it's not very easy and simple, but it's not something impossible or unachievable as well. Then we will just uh, very briefly we will talk about DevSecOps, which is a kind of a new buzzword, and in the last section, that you can say the third and the final part, I will go in and show you that what kind of things are available in the market, which are available absolutely free of cost. Uh, if there should be some catches or caveats, and I will try to tell you those at that time. But generally speaking, most of the resources are absolutely free of cost. I mean, you don't have to spend anything. So we will see that what kind of resources are there, how we can access them. In the video, in the description section of the video, I will try to add the exact URLs, and I will try to add a lot of things, whatever is easy for me. So what I will recommend everyone is that you go through all of these three videos one by one. You can skip some part, or you can watch it with a higher speed. But as a recommendation, you should go over all of it so that because I told you in the start, I mean, the DevOps is kind of mindset. So to make a mindset, you have to learn a lot of soft things as well. Only the technical things, only to know how the things work is also important, but it's, you can say that it's maybe half of it. For the first half of it, you have to have some kind of soft learnings as well. As we discussed, basically, this will be our, you can say, the first part. This will become the chunk which will be the second part. This is a kind of intro only. And in this last section, we will talk about the third part. Here we will discuss that I will show you most of the technical things, I mean the softwares and other things, that how you can install them, use them, or how you can subscribe to them, what resources are available, how you can use those resources for you. So if we briefly go back to the agenda, so in the introduction part, we are almost going through what is DevOps. We will start it, and then we will go towards our 1, 2, and 3. So uh, let's start that. What is DevOps? So what is DevOps? I feel that this DevOps is being repeated many times, but I'm repeating it for a known purpose because this whole uh, video or these whole lectures, basically they are all related to DevOps. So generally speaking, DevOps has to be repeated again and again because this is what we are working on. So, what is DevOps? DevOps is basically a mindset. If we go in the past, we used to have a defined separation between these two departments of a company. I mean, there was a development section and then there was a operations section. The development section's main duty of development section was to code, and they will make a big code, I mean generally a big chunk of code, and they will give the code to the operations team. The operations team will deploy the code and operate and monitor it. Development was very less concerned with whatever is going through, I mean, whatever is going in the minds and heads of the operations guy. I mean, they were very less bothered about what are the problems that they are getting, if any, or what is the issue with the new release. In the old days, when the software used to come on CDs, we used to buy one CD and we used to use it for maybe sometimes many years. I mean, because and that CD usually it was not updated because it was not easy to have updates of the software because of the whole supply chain or how it will reach you was not very easy. I'm not talking about every part of the world. Some parts they had better things. I mean, I'm not talking about every part of the world. In like some parts of the world, it was quite easy to get an updated version of any software. But like from where I am, I mean, it was not that easy. If you are using, for example, I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint right now. So if you have PowerPoint and there's a there's a known bug, I mean, you know that there's a problem. At some point it crashes or you do something and it makes a problem for you. But you didn't have any way to report and get an update and get it sorted out. So at that time, because of these kind of physical hindrances, the development and operations, they were not pushed a lot to satisfy the customers, because even the customer feedback was not easy to reach. But what happens with time when we have everything now available easily with us? So if you have some apps working on your mobile, and you can see that some of the apps they have some kind of new updates maybe on a daily basis. Like for example, I will mention Instagram. They have a new filter very frequently. So that new filter is pushed to your device somehow. But before it's being pushed on the back end, I mean, there this cycle is being repeated. You can say that very fast. Just assume that, for example, you install the Instagram first time somehow. We don't go in the past. We assume that first Instagram was made by someone and it became available to people. Now assume that you are using Instagram, and when you wake up every morning, you find a new filter. So it means that some developer in the Instagram team, he develops one new filter, and he released the new filter through a continuous deployment and continuous integration, CI/CD, which we will learn later. But through a CI/CD pipeline, he released his code, and it reaches the operations team, and it got deployed, and it got into production, and the monitoring started on that new filter. So for example, some users, they use that filter, and maybe I'm just making a kind of scenario that, for example, so on some specific mobiles or some specific operating system or some specific things, it starts failing somehow, it starts crashing the device. So through automatic monitoring, this kind of feedback also starts reaching to the dev team automatically, even without the direct involvement of the operations team. Like as I told you, I mean, before like 10, 20 years ago, these were two teams which used to communicate on some special protocols. They were not talking to each other very often and very directly and for everything, because of the reason that I told you, that the even the supply chain and these things were not very quick and very fast. So they don't need to talk to everyone, or they don't need to talk to each other on every issue, because of the issue were also not reported very easily. But nowadays, because of a lot of automation, things are re- really very fast. So a lot of issues, even sometimes just for a typical scenario, it is possible that even the operations don't know that there is an issue, and maybe development knows that there is issue, because the monitoring is going to both of them, and it's just a kind of that who picks it first. So sometimes even the dev is also aware of the operational issues, and sometimes the operations is kind of aware of the dev issue, that what is happening on the build side. So let's connect it back. So somehow we assume that some issues or some bugs, they got reported, or maybe some user, uh, they reported that they need to have some feature, some new feature in the app. So this all reaches the dev team, and they started planning the next release. And then they code it, and they build it and test it, and they released it again. So even though it don't look um, very different from the previous, but the main difference is that how much Um, the main difference is the frequency of this whole cycle. This cycle in some of organizations, like for example, we discussed Instagram, this cycle may happen more than once a day. And for some apps, this may happen maybe hundreds and thousands of times a day. Uh, I will try to show you some examples where in some of the companies this CI/CD pipeline it runs thousands of times a day. So as we were discussing, that DevOps is basically a mindset. So the mindset is because of that this team should has to be fully aware that it's not working in an old company in a silo where it just need to make the code and test the code and then throw it on the operations team. And the operations they also cannot sit in a silo and they can say that okay, whatever we get from dev we just implemented and now we don't know why the code is failing. So the mindset is changing. The dev they code while they keep the operations issue in mind because they have uh, they have some eyes here as well. I mean, they can see that how it is going through. And same the ops, they have some insights here. So it's a kind of mindset change for the dev and the ops. It's not just it's not kind of physical merger of two departments. It's not that if you are in a company and you say that okay, from tomorrow the dev and operation they will sit in the same floor and they will just be talking to each other. I mean, this will not make a DevOps because if both of them will just sit in in a floor, they may still not interact with each other. It's a kind of mindset that you have to think from the other's point of view that what kind of issues he may get, what kind of issues it may create. I hope this DevOps should still not be clear because as I was telling, it's not something very difficult, but it's on the other hand, it's not something very easy as well. But let's go step by step. Okay, let us officially start the first part of our journey. If you remember the agenda, we had said that this should be our first part, the qualities of a DevOps engineer. So let's start by officially going into it. So, what should be the qualities which make a DevOps engineer? So, as we discussed, DevOps is a mindset. It's not only the technical qualities but a lot of soft qualities as well. So, even though technical qualities are really required, they are one part of it, but there are other parts of it. So in this section, we will talk about all the parts which are required because if we see any character, like when I was making this presentation at that time, I wanted to put something here, even though I'm not a big cartoon fan and I'm not 100% sure that who this guy is, but it is something like Transformer or I don't know exactly, but maybe it's Transformer or whatever it is. But I mean, as even from the so even for these characters, we know that if you have been watching any cartoons or any fiction film, you know that each character is comprised of two things. I mean, some characters they also have some and but they are very merciful and they have some soft qualities which make them a kind of good person. And there are some other characters which also have some powers, but they have some different qualities, which in a movie or in a science fiction they make them the bad guys. So I mean technically their powers are similar kind of thing, but we term someone as a good guy and some as a bad guy because of their mindsets. So having a technical ability is really required, but it's the mindset which puts you in a specific place. Like for example, two people they have the same kind of technical skills they know, but based on their mindset they may be put in different places. So DevOps is, as we say, that it's a mindset as well. So let's see that what kind of quality qualities one need to be part of the DevOps team. So let's start from the first quality. As already mentioned, having strong technical skills is the first or the foremost thing. You need to have a foundation to stand on. So a DevOps engineer should have a very solid understanding of many things. Like he should have very good understanding of programming languages, not any specific language, and it's very much better that he's not a pro or a guru of any programming language, because if he is a pro or a guru, then he should not work as a DevOps, he should work as a pure developer. We need, because in big companies we need big developers as well. So those developers, they are better that if they work as a developer, because they have a thing which is very, very strong. So they should be used in that part. But to be a DevOps, you have to know that how generally the programming languages work. What is the essence of all the programming languages? Because you don't deal with any specific language. You have to deal with maybe almost all languages of the world, depending on the company you are working for. So he should have a good idea of scripting. Even I will just add here that he should know that what is the difference in programming and scripting. Because for some of the people, programming and scripting is one of the same thing, which is not the case. So he should know the automation tools as well. Again, he should not have deep knowledge of automation tools, because he don't have to automate things by himself. As I told you, this is a big team. The DevOps is basically two teams, development and operations. So you have a lot of support guys and you have a lot of other people to help you. But if you don't have any idea, if you have to ask for help, you should be able to know that kind of help you require. And also, this DevOps engineer guy, he should have a knowledge of the cloud platforms around the world, because nowadays, very less companies are going towards on-premises solution. It is not bad. There's a lot of good in it. But if you have to run on-premises by yourself, and if you have to expand it, and if you have to do anything, then there is a lot of lead time required. So these cloud platforms, they give you a kind of already built-in place where you can just go and expand. So, but there are a lot of platforms, and these platforms also have some limitations of one on the other. Like there's AWS, there is Azure, there is Alibaba, there is Google. So all of these have their own good and bad. And so a DevOps guy, he should know that what quality is with which vendor, so that he can guide his team on the basis of his knowledge. So having strong knowledge is the main foundation. But let's see that what soft skills are required. So on the number two, let's talk about collaboration and communication. So I will put it even above the first one, even though I have put it as on the second number because of some reasons. But for a DevOps engineer, this is the key. If you want to excel, if you want to work in the DevOps with success, if you want to work successfully, if you just don't want to work, you want to work with success in your hand, then you have to be a very good collaborator and a very good communicator. Because as I told you, that DevOps is not something small, it's something quite big. So you have to collaborate with a lot of teams. So when you are collaborating, and that also with a lot of teams, because every team has some of his issues. Some people, they have some time, sometimes they have some time constraints, some they have some budget constraints, some have some quality constraints. So because you have to work with a cross-functional team, so collaboration and communication, knowing that what someone is saying and interpreting it completely, and then responding in the best possible way. So these are the essential qualities of a DevOps engineer. So collaboration and communication, even though it is required in most of the jobs, but for a DevOps, it's very essential thing. So let's go and see the second, or maybe actually the third quality. So the third quality required in in a DevOps engineer is a problem solving mindset. So one thing I will mention that even though these are because these are soft skills. So soft skills are basically these soft skills you can very easily claim that these soft skills are required in almost every job of the world, which is fine as well, which is not wrong. But we'll try to give some kind of scenarios that in what way it is important because when I was making it, it was something in my mind that when you are talking about soft skills, so basically you cannot say, for example, if you have to do any kind of job in the world, you cannot say that for this job I don't need a problem solving mindset. I mean, everyone has to solve some problem in everywhere. Even person who is selling food, he is solving a kind of problem of his customer because the customer is hungry and he needs a specific food. But as we gave an example, when you are selling food, so you have to use the same skill but in a different scenario. You need to have a problem solving mindset, but the mindset should focus that what kind of food needs are there and how you can resolve the need of the customer who is standing in front of you. So for a DevOps engineer, the problem solving mindset is not that simple or straightforward. You don't have a customer who has kind of need and you have to fulfill it. Just assume that you are a DevOps engineer and you are working in some good big organization. And the problem comes that you have 5 app teams and you have 3 operations guy and you have some limited resources. And now all of these 5 guys on the app side and 3 guys on the operation side, they need access to a specific resource. And here they don't need access to one resource. Maybe they need access to thousands of resources. And you have to take all of them with you. You have to provide the resources to all of them in some way that the work is not affected for any one of them. So this makes it, I hope this make it easy to understand for you that it's not a very simple playing field. Generally, for a big organization, there are too many constraints and there are a lot of priorities. So problem solving is not that much easy. You cannot say that you can manage it through very small tweaking here and there and you get a solution. Sometimes it takes a lot of hard work. You have to talk to maybe hundreds of guys to bring them on the same page. So it's not very easy like dealing with a few guys with a similar kind of problems. Here you are dealing with a lot of guys and with a lot of different problems. Okay, so let's go in our fourth point. This fourth point is, I will not say that this is very general for all the jobs around the world, even though it's a general thing as well. But like in most of the domains, continuous learning is required, but it's not essential. For example, if you are working in a service company where you are providing a service to some guys. I will give you a very specific example. For example, you are working for an airline company and you are selling tickets. So you know that there are not big changes coming your way every now and then. You must be trained for the first time and you must be given a kind of training. But there are no very big. I mean, when for example the tickets change from the physical tickets to e-tickets, then at that time maybe you are giving another training for a few days that how to deal with e-tickets. But now the e-tickets are there from many years, so now there's not a lot of change on that also on daily basis. But this is not the case in all the domains of the world. There are some domains which have the same agility like the IT domain, where the change is very regular and it's really on daily basis. Every day when you come, you find a new change is there, and that change is very specific, and that change is going to bring a lot of changes in a lot of other places. I will when we'll go in the technical things, I will try to give you some details. when we will be going in the app side, when I will try to give you some idea of what kind of technical things the apps are required, then at that time I will try to give you this idea as well. Even if you know, like some of you, they may have been developing or working on some programming languages. You must know that the programming languages, they have a known kind of pattern of version upgrades, the minor upgrades and the major upgrades. So the upgrades are very frequent and each upgrade has some things with it. For example, when some upgrades come, they deprecate something. Just assume that you have 100 apps and that apps are using some feature, and then one day you just came to your office and you came to know that you have to do an upgrade, and that upgrade is going to deprecate that feature. I mean, that feature is already in use in 100 apps, and then you go back to the app guys and you tell them that, please, I want you to remove this feature. And the first question they ask is how we can remove a feature from our app. I mean, we have built this feature in the app and it's not very easy to take it out. So this was the kind of so you can assume that learning and knowing new things on a continuous basis is very essential, because if you don't keep yourself updated, for example, if I don't update myself and I don't learn a new version upgrade came, and I mean, without doing anything, I just roll out that upgrade. And what happens is that a lot of things which were working, they stop working. So we have to make a mindset of knowing the things first and then learning from them and then imparting that knowledge back to our teams so that they are also fully aware of it. So continuous learning is a good thing for everyone, but essential for a DevOps guy. So the next thing now is attention to details. It's related to the example that I gave, like continuous learning. Continuous learning is a very good thing, but if you are not giving attention to details, I mean, for example, if you are learning and you come to know that a new version of some operating system is coming, but you are not able to identify that what core changes are coming with that version upgrade. So if you are not attentive to the details, for example, if you came to know that the version that I'm using right now, this version should be updated by its vendor at this specific date. Generally, these dates are 1 month, 2 months away. So after 1 month, this will be updated with another one. But if you are not able to get out of it that what this change will bring on you, what it will bring change on the apps that are being hosted on your infrastructure, and you are not able to tell them timely, then this will also bring a very bad repute to your department. So a DevOps engineer should be very detail oriented, and he should know the he should fully know that software development and deployment processes, that so that he can then manage and monitor them accordingly. So attention to details is again a very much required soft skill. So let's go in our next one. So strong organizational skills. So this is also a general trait as well. If you have to be organized, but again, I will try to give you some example that why it is, or in what ways it is related to a DevOps guy. So if you have been following any software development, then you must be aware that, like for example, all the programming languages, they have a structure. It's not haphazard. It's not like you just copy everything in a single folder and your language interpreter interprets everything by its own. There's a structure in a programming language. There's a file structure, there's a folder structure, there's the language, the interpreter of the language knows that from where it should pick which of the files. And we will go in details of some of the things which are required. I mean, like when we'll go in Terraform or when we'll be talking about Helm or something else. At that time, I will try to emphasize on this thing. But as I was mentioning, the programming languages, in the same way, the operating system, if you have been working in Windows, you know that there are some specific folders. There's a program files folders where your programs are located. So Windows knows that most of the program are in which folder. So if you put a program outside of that folder, that program may not run properly because you will have to tell Windows that this program is outside of the program folder. There are ways to do it, but I'm just telling you about how these things are organized themselves. So as we came to know that even programming languages, these are also organized. So in the same way, a DevOps engineer should also be very much organized because generally one person is handling many. So if he's not an organized person, if you get some information about one project and you put it in some other project, and then after 2 days when you are trying to make some kind of response to that and you are not able to find those files, or you are getting a lot of information on daily basis. So you must be really organized so that you don't miss any part of it. So strong organization skills are also a big key to a DevOps engineer. So in the next and the last one, I'm being a DevOps culture advocate. So this is one quality that I will say that it's not required in most of the other positions. For example, if you are a good teacher, then you don't have to make your students also a good teacher because it is not required from them at that time. For example, there is a teacher who is teaching the primary class guys, and now if he just start teaching them that how to teach, and he just bring them on the board, and he just ask them to, okay, take this example and show it to your classmates. These are very small children. At that age, you need to just to be friend with them and just play with them, and you are not required to instill your quality in them. You have to bring in them other qualities. Like, for example, if you are a primary teacher, you have to teach your students to be gentle, to be soft spoken, and to be playful, and to help and care for each other. But you don't have to teach them that how they can teach these things to someone else. So this was just for an example. So, but for a DevOps, the requirement is that you should be a DevOps advocate, because as we started from where we started, the DevOps is a mindset. This mindset needs to be present in everyone working in or within or with the DevOps teams. So even you have to advocate it to your higher ones, your lower ones, your peers, even to your customers as well. That everyone should have a DevOps mindset. Even to your customer, you can tell them that how they can identify things, and they can, because if they identify something and they report it properly, then this will help them as well at some point or the other. So being a DevOps culture advocate is very much required for DevOps engineer, because it encourages collaboration, it brings continuous improvement. So as we discussed, that having a DevOps culture advocate, being a DevOps culture advocate is not only good for yourself, but it is good for everyone else as well. So I hope that you should have got some good idea of the soft things required. This may be a little bit of words and jargons for some of my listeners, but I want to emphasize that if you have not gone through this carefully, then right now maybe you will not feel that it is something which is very much required, but maybe at some place or other, it will give you some kind of problems. But nevertheless, let me congratulate to the people who have come this much way, and I hope you have got some idea. And I know that this part is generally kind of boring as well, because I have gone through these kind of presentations many times, and I don't like it at those times. But when I'm sitting on, you can say, this side of the table, I understand that these kind of words are also very much essential for us. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being with me for this much time. our first part is finished here, and now you can go and watch the second part. This is some detail about me. If you want to contact me, I'm available on WhatsApp. Usually, I replied quite fast. You can even email to me. This is my website. It does not have anything specific, or right now I'm just trying to make it so it's not in a good shape. I will not like you to visit it right now, but whenever it is ready, I will try to convey this as well. But you can contact me. You can contact me through email or WhatsApp if you have any questions, and let's join together in the next part of it. So keep watching, keep learning, and I hope that this will help you in your future endeavors. So goodbye.